day, everyone! Thank you for joining us this afternoon and welcome to the final track of Lark Your Way to Success, a webinar series for business growth and sustainability. Our moderator for today is a multimedia award-winning Hall of Fame automotive journalist, events host, inspirational speaker, key opinion leader, brand ambassador, road safety advocate, and TV host at CNN Philippines. Let's all welcome Mr. James Deacon.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hi there. Welcome to the third and final track of Lark's New Normal Business Council and Mentorship Program webinar series. That's right. I'm James Deacon, and it's my absolute pleasure to be your host for today. This afternoon, we'll be learning a lot more about innovating with technology from three awesome experts who have learned how to harness the power of technology in their careers as well as their personal lives. But first, let me just help you recall what we've discussed in our first two tracks. In track one, we did some context setting as we learned how to better adapt to the new ways of work. And then in track two, we got some tips on how we can evolve for the future to allow our businesses to continue and operate and even grow during the times of this crisis and uncertainty. And then we'll round up those with today's session on innovating with technology. But before we start, I'd like to acknowledge everyone who made this event possible, our partner organizations and associations, our resource speakers, Lark representatives, and media partners. Thank you very much for helping us get this worthwhile advocacy off the ground. All right. I guess we're all hopeful for the coming new year. I know I am, right? Anything's got to be better than 2020, I think. And this year has just been one of those really, really challenging milestone years. But it's good to note that we've also seen our Bayanihan spirit shine through amid all these trials. And this webinar series, for example, was born out of Lark's desire to do its part in giving a hand to businesses who have faced some challenges in this new environment. And we hope that through this webinar series and the broader New Normal Business Council and Mentorship Program, you can also see the future in a better light. So now let me introduce to you our speakers for this learning session. Mr. Andid Ma, Lark Regional Product Specialist. Come on, let's hear it. Oh yeah, it's virtual. I forgot. Can't hear you back, but I can feel it. I can feel the love. I can feel the energy. I want you to keep that going for Mr. Carlo Ople, Digital Entrepreneur. Feel the love, Carlo. Just feel it. Just picture it in your head. It's all happening there behind the screen. And of course, there's me, right? It's weird, but I'm also your host. I'm also a speaker, an automotive journalist and events host. Don't worry. I'm not going to ask you to clap for me because that's going to get really weird, right? Now, before we hear from our first speaker, we'd just like to acknowledge our partners in bringing this program to life. The Junior Chamber International Philippines, JCI Philippines, the Association of Filipino Franchisers Incorporated, that's AFFI, and Go Negocio, which is celebrating its 15th anniversary this year. Happy anniversary, guys. That's awesome. We're also grateful for the support of our media partners, ANC, Business Mirror, CNN Philippines, love your own, Esquire, Enquire.net, Unbox PH, and Yugatech. Thank you also to all our partners for all the support from the launch to the three webinar tracks. And thank you, Lark, for this initiative. Okay, before we begin, let's just take a look at some of the highlights of track two, which we just held last week. Take a look at this.
And ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. We would like to welcome everyone to the second track of Lark's New Normal Business Council and Mentorship Program. Now, for this afternoon, we will learn about some local, regional, and global best practices in adapting to the new normal ways of working. We will also receive some sage and sound advice on how to effectively and efficiently manage our teams and resources from near and, of course, from afar. Finally, we will hear a story of a pandemic-induced business pivot. Let me please welcome our resource speakers for this learning session. We have the Head of Communications of Lark Philippines, Ms. Kat Adelino. Again, Kat, thank you so much for inviting all of us here to join today's webinar. We are also joined by my very good friend, entrepreneur, business consultant, and columnist, Mr. Francis J. Kong. Rounding out our speakers here this afternoon, I'm really looking forward to the talk of content creator and entrepreneur, Miss Camille Ko. And Camille will be joined by the COO of the Canton Club, Miss Charlotte Ko. Kat Avelino to share her insights with us of how people are doing so far in this new normal setup.
So our topic today is one I am really excited about. Over the past months, businesses all over the world have started to shift to new ways of working. We've all gone digital. We will learn about what kinds of shifts they've done, how they did it, and how they're doing so far in their new normal setup.
Are there places where they can learn how to use Lark?
Yes, absolutely. I think the one thing that we're very proud of is that we really handhold our clients throughout their transformation process, and we want to make sure that we support them every step of the way.
And so, crisis can make people bitter. And then, crisis can also make people butter. I don't want you to melt because of this. But crisis pushes us to be faster. We gotta be doing things faster because we have to still be productive.
So a couple of tips. How do we still maintain our sense of sanity and balance when we can't seem to separate any more work, home from work from home?
That's a great question, RJ. And as I constantly share the church secret of speakers like you and me, every time the speaker says that's a great question, that means the speaker doesn't have an answer yet.
Or is thinking of the answer.
There's an important thing to understand. There's a principle. If you have enough space, then you can be steady and you can limit your movement. If you have very limited space, then you have no other options but to move. What do I mean? And I will tie the two questions that you threw me into one.
Mm-hmm.
If we are staying in a place that has limited space, every time you move, the people who are with you should understand and get the message. RJ now is going to be on his work mode. And that message can only be delivered if we create a routine.
Now, please don't forget to include your name and your company when you type in the question so that we can properly address you. We'd also love for you to spread the word about this program through your social media accounts. May we invite you to please use our official hashtags. The hashtags to use are Ready with Lark and Lark Suite.
Another thing is that I keep stressing this is to always listen to your consumers. If you can't hear their voice, then try to be their voice. Try to think like one. Like, what would their voice sound? What would they be saying? So always think of your consumers.
We would love to know, Camille, what you've been doing online to build such a strong following.
I think one of the most important things is to have focus. A lot of people, because of the excitement, you tend to be scattered all over the place. You want to try everything, like all different types of category. But again, you want to capture a certain market. And for you to capture a certain market, you have to have a focus.
Thank you so much. That officially ends our session. Before everything else, I would like to thank all the fantastic speakers that we've had here today. Kat Avelino of Lark Philippines, of course, Francis Ko, best-selling author and motivational business speaker, and of course, Camille and Charlotte Ko of the Canton.
Wow, what a star-studded panel that was. Francis Kong was a little starstruck there. You have RJ Ledesma, well-known entrepreneur as well. Kat Abelino, these just keeps going. Camille Cole. And these are just some of the learnings that we're always going to be getting through these webinars. I mean, it's about empowering people and it's about sharing these wonderful ideas. Remember, we're all going through this together. So if somebody's just a little bit slightly ahead down the road, it's great to learn from them. Everything's kind of been equalized and the playing field has been leveled. So it's great to hear from all these people. Speaking of our speakers and star-studded, we're going to have to top that, right? I mean, we're very competitive here. So whatever happened in track 2, we're going to do better in track 3. Right, guys? I can see them backstage going, is that us? Yes, it's you. I've got the best bunch of speakers throughout the whole Lark series, right? I'm just going to call it now. And before I introduce our first speaker, just some reminders first for all of our participants. Those of you who have attended but did not register yet, please do visit our microsite and sign up because you still have a chance to be one of the chosen mentees for this program. You don't know what that's about? It's huge. You get some fantastic support. I mean, it's going to be really big. We're talking about 300,000 worth of PR value, but we'll speak about that a little bit later. I just want to make sure that you know that you should sign up as early as now. And if you have questions related to today's topic, please send them via the comments box, and we will try to answer as many as we can during the session. Now, please also include your name and your company when you type in your question, and also use our official hashtags if you can. Please, it helps group things up. Ready with Lark and Lark Suite. Just 2 hashtags to remember. Very, very simple. And then that way we can follow the thread as well. You're more than happy if you posted that in your social media accounts as well. Okay, technology. Let's talk about that for a little while. It's enabled businesses to continue to operate and this health during this health and economic crisis. I mean, in some ways, I think of it like they're also like a frontliner. They don't get anywhere near as much credit, of course, and we're not trying to compare to our health professionals and the people on the front lines physically, but tech has really been part of the front lines for the economic survival. At least that's what I've experienced personally. It's enabled us to navigate our way through this health and economic crisis. The question is, what specific tools are available to ensure business continuity during these situations and sustainability in this new normal workplace? How can businesses seamlessly integrate these into their current and future processes to harness the full potential of such tools? Well, our first speaker, Lark Regional Product Specialist, Mr. Andy Ma, will help us answer these questions. Andy is well placed to answer these questions because he has been a cloud-based leader or business leader for more than 12 years now, with ground experiences in enterprise sales, solution architecting, operations, technical training, and sales enablement for large enterprises in the SaaS or software as a service environment. These experiences have equipped him with practical knowledge, skills, and strategies to coach numerous early stage startups in various industries such as edutech, health tech, AI, VR tech, e commerce, logistics tech, fintech, regtech, and much, much more. He also sits on the board of advisors of NUS Angel Ventures and serves as a regular startup judge and mentor to the NUS Entrepreneurship Society, focusing on marketing and team risk management. Andy is also president of the Nonprofit Risk and Insurance Association of Singapore. He is currently helping Lark to expand its presence in the Philippines as the outreach and development champion. Ladies and gentlemen, let's all welcome Mr. Andid Ma to discuss the way forward with Lark.
Thank you so much, James. Right, just to make sure that everyone can hear me. But yeah, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for making time this afternoon to hear a little bit more about the future forward for work. So I guess to start off with the first slide, I would like to basically share with you guys how to basically get started. And the best way to get started would be to know where you are. So next slide, we'll be showing you where to find your current positioning. So this is an IDC report that has been obtained to help you to understand better, right? Where are you today in your organization? So this does not have to be matters to big companies, right? It can also be a tool, all right, or a guideline, right, that you can use as a micro, small, or medium enterprises within Philippines. So looking at from the bottom, right? There are organizations that are pretty ad hoc, right? It could be more of the micro SMEs, right, where you probably felt that there are some gaps, and sometimes it's a bit slower. And customers' experiences is one of the things that you feel were one of your challenges, right? Then the ad hoc categories would pretty much fit you, right? So what we'll be experiencing today is knowing where we are and fitting some of the technologies, future technologies into your profile, right? And moving forward, we have opportunity. There are some of the opportunistic company, right? Sorry, one slide before. So there are some of the opportunistic companies, right? They are probably more digitally enabled, right? So if you are in this category, congratulations, right? You probably find that Lark is a lot more easy to understand, all right? And you want to actually take advantage of that right now to help you to grow your business. Now, we also have businesses who are in the repeatable business, right? And you would like to have some technologies that can help you to automate, to repeat some of the activities that you do on a day-to-day basis, right? So something that we will be showing you later on. And on the fourth category, we have businesses that are actually market leaders, right? So there may be big companies in this call, and this is where technologies can actually bring you forward, bring your product, your services even closer to your customers and partners. And last but not least, for people who are basically disrupting the organizations of your competitors, Lark is definitely also one of the areas that you can look into, right? There are lots of technologies, integration, workplaces that is going to be very exciting. In the next couple of slides, I'll be showing you some of these tips and tricks. So moving on to the next slide. So let's take a look at some of the overview of our impact of technology tools in terms of business efficiency, right? So what are the tools that could immediately have an impact, right, on our business, and how that actually can be something that is important to you after this call. So on the very first line, we'll be talking about the impact on operating costs, right? We'll be sharing with you what is securing sensitive information. We also talk about a little bit about some of the improved communication processes, right, that can help you to be a lot more productive. And of course, your employees are your assets apart from your customers. They are the ones that are facing your customers on a day-to-day basis. So you want to make sure that they are productive and they can put the extra time in front of your customers. And of course, with that happening, you want to broaden this customer base. And finally, when you're starting to go into the leadership board and when you're scaling your business, you want to be able to be collaborative, mitigating some of the risk elements when you're actually co-sourcing or outsourcing some of your business processes. So these are some of the 6 points that I will be focusing on today, together with some of the tips and tricks with Lark, right? So moving on to the next slide, you can see I have chosen some 6 other features, right, that you might be interested to try it out. So if you have your Lark right now in front of your mobile phone or in front of your laptops, computers, I invite you to try some of these features out. It's really simple and easy to use. And I'll be starting off using some of these features, right, to address the some of the operational matters that I basically review right on the previous slide. So on the very first slide later on, you'll be seeing something called Magic Share, right? Moving on, I'll moving to the secret chat as one of our features in our instant messaging. Then I'll be talking about how we can achieve any function on call, right? So something interesting for you to look out for. And how can a single app, which you could be looking at the screen right now, on the right-hand side of the presentation slide, we want to help you to achieve productivity. We want to help you to basically have one app to focus on your work and leave the rest of your social apps for social purposes. And we also allow you to use our survey capabilities within our instant messaging. And Lark Workplace is an amazing playground or sandbox environment, if you like to put it as, for your organization to make a difference and have a competitive edge against your competitor in the market. So without further ado, I shall usher you into the future of business efficiency and productivity because it starts with today. So next slide, I'll be showing you what do I mean by operating costs going up. So I guess in this particular image that we are looking at, a lot of us can closely relate, right, to the fact that a lot of the businesses, even small businesses sometimes, may be facing the segregation or what we call the silo situation, where individual departments are basically working on their own, right, in their silos. So what I would like to advise you today would be around how to keep your focus on three things to make sure that this silo environment, right, can be basically brought together. You can harmonize them, and you can enjoy working together, right? Basically, having between your managers, your employees, between your customers and your partners to achieve the acceleration that you need for your business. So how do we do that? End it, right? So let me just show you on the next slide. We have something called the Magic Share, one of the feature that we strongly advocate all the listeners, customers, and partners, right, to share with anyone who faces some of these silo situations. The capability of Lark's Magic Share is the ability to combine a video conferencing environment like you are experiencing right now, together with the ability to work and the ability to chat, all on a single page. So if you look into the screen right now, you'll be able to see a collaborative document where you and your other stakeholders can join in to basically work together, to interact, to comment, to assign tasks, right? Or even to set simple reminders, right? Just right within the docs itself. So this is an amazing features that every one of our partners, customers, and internal ByteDance employees are actually enjoying it because we save so much time and we enjoy and have fun and work collaboratively each time achieving the outcomes that we want to achieve within the doc. So this is one of the tips if you are basically playing with it right now. Look for the magic share function, right? Within the share icon is a green button within your video conferencing function. It allows you to share desktop, applications, and Lark Docs, all within the VC functions. So moving on to the next topic, I hope the first feature was exciting. And enterprises, especially for those who are already a leader, right? Reputation risk is one of the fundamental consideration or strategic plans, right? Item that cannot be forget or forgotten, right? So what happened here is I'd like to show you a few statistics that's happening across many businesses. We are talking about businesses not just enterprise level, but we are also talking about businesses that are you and I, right? So about 48% of our malicious email attachment came from the typical technologies that we've been using, right? So that was reported by Symantec. And on March 21st, 2019, one of the most popular applications used in Philippines was basically announced to be not properly secured. And lots of the passwords were actually landed on the wrong hands, right? So again, that was identified by Force. 43% of data breaches basically were hitting on small businesses. You might think that small businesses are protected, right? So, well, I'm a small business. What's there for you to take from me, right? so a lot of our customers didn't understood that there is a portion about the value stream. So, for example, in the agriculture industry, you have the value stream starting with the farmer, who is actually cultivating some of the vegetables or any other things that will eventually be distributed. And before it's been distributed, it's been taken over by perhaps a logistic company, could be a MSME, right? And from the logistic company, it may be going to a warehouse, right? That may be managed by a medium-sized company. And finally, when it goes into the dock and it gets into the shipment to the all over the world, right? Perhaps you are dealing with maybe a company that is a global company, and if you realize that almost 60 to 70% of these stakeholders in this value chain that I mentioned are made out of MSMEs. So the best way for a black hat, right, to basically take advantage of the eventual organization that they want to hit, they would prefer to hit on the smaller organization. So if you are hearing this, yes, small businesses, you guys are the targets to the eventual target that they would like to hit on. They would take your information, they will piece up your information to basically have an understanding of the eventual target they want to enter. So guess what? With all this, data breaching, first, it damages your business. Second, you may lose your income because of that reputation damage, right? And moving on, there are many layers of data that people can collect, right? 95% of the companies, right, have hundred thousands of their folders that basically contain stale data. So data that you didn't have a chance to use, or you've forgotten to use, you recreated a new set of data, right? Or basically you just leave it there and not doing anything about it. Do you know that some of this information are exactly what the black hats are looking out for? And 53% of the companies actually found 1,000 sensitive files that were accessible by employees that has left the company. That includes you, right, as a small company if you're running. So now, my question to the group, is it time for us to rethink the way we are communicating some of this data, the way we manage the data? What needs to be kept, what needs to be managed, and what is actually not required to be kept or shared? So in my next slide, you will be surprised that there is a feature in Lark that can actually solve all of this securing sensitive information. And all you need to do is to basically plan exactly what sort of information you need, what sort of information you do not need, and basically leverage on this technology. So next slide, allow me to introduce you to the secret chat within Lark. So the secret chat has been one of the key features that were in Lark way before some of our competitors' introduction. So what Lark has is the secret chat allows you to choose someone who you will be communicating on a frequent, high frequency level, all right, where thereby the informations are not required to be kept, right? So if you take a look on the left-hand side of the screenshot, you have the ability to basically expire the reading after reading. So meaning to say, if I'm to send this message to Sir James, and when he read through the information, the time on that message will be counting down. If I select 1 minute, it'll be counting down from 1 minute. If I select 1 hour, it'll be counting down from an hour, and so on and so forth. Right. So why is this important? Again, it helps you to avoid having stale data or data that are basically not being used or not required right after the communication. And I believe every one of us has been using has been thinking about how can we actually achieve this. So messages need not be stored forever, right, on Lark. So that's something for you to take back. On the right-hand side, you take a look at the second screenshot. There's ability for our customers to set permissions of data even within the instant messaging environment. Now, I've been hearing a lot of sharings, customer insights from the ground, and they were telling me, hey, Andy, we've been using our most popular social apps, to help to manage our customer expectation, and sometimes we are trying to share documents, but we do know that the documents can't be shared permanently in an open environment, can Lark help us? So if that's one of the questions that is on your mind, this is the solution right in front of you. So the permission setting can be done within an instant messaging environment, which you probably have not seen it anywhere else today. So I hope so far these two examples and tips has been useful. And I'd like to basically move on into the next slide, where I would like to address the third um, business efficiency matters, which is how do we improve communication processes, right? So this came from a chief quality officer of a hospital, and you realize that the challenges that he faced in the workplace seems to be similar to you, I, and our partners, right? He talks about 39% learning to interact with different personas, right? It has been one of their biggest challenge, right? They have to understand whether a certain personality prefer to work this way or that way, and that has taken up about 39% of their time. 22% of the time are basically taken to manage some of the stress at work and crises that has been, sort of faced by them on a day-to-day basis. So, for instance, you might get some information about a leak of data information that came from one of your employees from your company, right? So that sort of stress and crisis management are happening not just with one company, right, but with many in today's context. And moving on to the bottom left hand, we have about 19% of the time spent on resolving conflicts, deadlines, right, that were basically overlapping. So you have timelines that are all overlapping one another, and you are having this challenge of fixing timeline dates across different time zones. Last but not least, of course, 19% were around some of the day-to-day administrations. So, for example, asking about the, explaining about some of the financial information, explaining about some of the HR matters, explaining about some of the shared services within your organizations. And of course, we have 1% that we don't know, right? We'll leave you guys to discover. So, what is the solution to this? And if I may show you in the next slide. Now, apart from Lark having the ability to do the calendaring, smart calendaring that most of us know about to solve the conflicting of deadlines, in my next slide, if we may jump into the next slide, I would like to introduce you to a multi-touch single Lark app. So here, basically solve all that 4 quadrants issues that you have. So you're looking at a chat, instant messaging environment that allows you to basically group the different personas of people that you're speaking to on a day-to-day basis. And you can actually favorite them on the top row of the instant messaging. If you notice that there were lots of tiny icons, there were icons that has a cat image and so on and so forth. Yep. So it's just so personal, and yet it is for work. It solves that personality issues. Not able to basically bring everyone into the same group, but you could break them into groups, still addressing their needs, and put them as a favorite that is visible to you. Now, within each group, you are able to launch a video conferencing environment like this. And of course, I mentioned about the smart calendaring. We allow you to set what are your working time and working day, and also setting as many time zones as you like, so that you can fix the time zones or meetings or people from different parts of the world with a single click. And last but not least, finance on call, HR on call, anything on call. You are looking on the right-hand side, a help desk that is within the instant messaging environment, right? That allows you to ask a question by clicking into a button. Someone will respond to you, clicking into the policy that you have basically built into your knowledge base, and happy ending. You pretty much get so productive and finish your work ahead of time or even having extra time to do value-added services to your customers. So this multi-touch approach within Lark is something that you probably couldn't find anywhere else. Right here, we are talking about one single app, and not asking you to jump out of one app, go to another app. Oh, where was I in the previous app? You don't have to worry that anymore. It's all in one place. So if you are not feeling that excitement from me, download Lark right now and try it out. So that's the third item that I would like to share with you. So moving on to our next problem statement, we would like to put it as a lot of our organizations are facing lots of challenge getting employees productivity. This information came from the McKinsey Global Institute, right? Productivity actually can be improved by between 20 to 25% through the connectivity of employees. You realize that any businesses that involves communication will need to solve this problem, which is communication, right? So how do you basically connect them seamlessly, avoid some of the misunderstanding, avoid some of the cognitive biasness? I would like to show you in the next slide how we do that. So in the next slide, this is one of the feature that shows you how Lark can be all in one place. So just this particular screenshot, I would like to show you. You could actually create a Lark doc to work with someone you like within a department, as I mentioned, right? So there's a quick switcher. And for item number 3, if you forgot anything, all you need to do is to do a global search via a keyword. The search function in Lark allows you to search instantly into the Lark Messenger, Lark documents, into some of the application documents that contains the keyword, and groups that contains the keywords when you were basically exchanging some of the communication. And all this could simply be brought together using the global search. And last but not least, we understand that you are still trying to get used, right? Not to use email, trying to get to use Lark for your work. We understand that. So in Lark, we have something called Lark Flow that works harmoniously with other applications, right? So you could basically simply do a connection with Lark through Lark Flow, and email can be sent directly into your instant messaging environment. And guess what? You do not have to jump out of Lark. Click onto the button, read the email, respond in the instant messaging, and get it done within minutes instead of hours, right? So I guess all of us has experienced that before. It took hours probably to get 10 emails for a response or one email for an approval, right? So that's something that I hope everyone could actually start to get your hands onto. This particular 4 steps basically helps you to start working efficiently. And it's something that our customers and partners basically have been advocating and talking about it on the ground. Moving on to the next slide. Now, how do we now we have achieved our productivity, how do we achieve the customer base that we want? Wow, and that's a lot to do, to ask, to categorize, to act, to follow up. Let me give you the solution in the next slide. So in Lark, in our next slide, we actually would like to show you how we do survey anytime with our customers. You can collect customer satisfaction, you could ask them questions directly in the instant messaging, you could categorize them, you could act on them immediately and follow up with them to let them feel that you care about them. And this is especially important when you are running a small businesses, when every single customer is your lifeline. Moving on to the next slide. In my last segment, I would like to share with you collaboration and co-sourcing. So co-sourcing here talks about you and your partners, right? Work collaboratively together So slightly different types of model when you outsource. You leave the risk and the operation to a third company. So there is an increasing trend of organizations shifting from a vendor outsource to multi-vendors outsource. And today we are seeing a lot of co-sourcing where you and your partner works just like an organization. They are like your employees. And this is made possible because you have a technology like Lark. So let me show you in the next slide. This is how you could do with your external experts. So bring in your external experts to work with you using Lark Doc. You are able to choose whether anyone can read or edit a document. In my next slide, hey, Endit, we have customers that are using Facebook Messenger. No problem, right? We work with players like Zapier, right, to do seamlessly integration. So, and you can put some of the Zapier apps and selected apps within our Lark workplace where we seamlessly help you to integrate and adopt Lark, right, by not dropping some of the important technologies that your customers or your partners are using. So in my next slide, this is actually something that I would love to show everyone how Lark works with Zapier across 2,000 applications. Here I'm just showing you how Messenger works with Lark. It's as easy as, I guess, my daughter in the in the primary school could actually do this. So he was saying, wow, that is just dropping down, keying some alphabets. Yep, I knew the alphabets. Can you give me the password? so, so it's that easy. And this is just one of the 2,000 apps that Lark works with Zapier to bring to you. So I guess up to this point, I hope some of these tips and tricks could help you to address some of the future of work, addressing some of the operational concern, some of the strategic concerns that you have. And that's probably the last slide that I have. If I can confirm by going to the next slide. Oh, no, the last slide is just the outcome. Lark assists you in the journey to adapt to technology. We work harmoniously with any applications, and we want you to be productive right from the first day you use Lark. Thank you. James, I think you're muted.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah. See, I wasn't actually muted. I was actually speechless.
Thank you.
Speechless after your presentation because it really does have it all. I mean, it's all of that integrated into one thing. Thank you so much, Mr. Andidma, for sharing
My
those
pleasure.
insights with us. Incredible tools, and it's good to know that the tools out there, some of them like Lark, are even available for free for us, and that can help us continue to operate our businesses, especially in this highly restrictive environment and circumstances, right?
Yep.
Now, I hope you don't mind if we keep you there for a little while and entertain a couple of questions because
No problem.
I have, if I have 100 questions, I'm sure a lot of people have them as well. I'm not going to hog the show because I want to give it to as many of the audience as possible. So
Sure.
here we go. If you have a question here, okay, here's one question for Mr. Andidma.
Sure.
What are ways we can personalize our virtual workspace experience using Lark? That comes from Glee from CNN Philippines. CNN, you're up.
Yeah, so I guess it really helps if you remember my very first slide. It will really help you if you define where are you right now, because every organizations are different. Every organization has different maturity, right? If you are already in a space where your company is adopting technologies, has gone virtual, right? I would say that the virtual workplace is Lark. It has everything from the way you're going to communicate with your journalists on the ground. Your journalists will be replying back to you on your mobile phone, right? From the way you're going to write a transcript using the doc and immediately get a command through a video conferencing environment like this. Lark has it all, and it is a virtual workplace by its own. And that's something that I hope could have already give you a context of how you could use it. And my assumption is that you are already embarking on a digital transformation, and Lark will be the one that helps you to go a long way.
Okay, great. I mean, I'm already picturing it myself because I'm from CNN, so I understand the workflow there. And one way that I could see it working is this: if you're on the field, especially,
Yes.
and you're filing your report, you're ready to broadcast, but that has to go through the news desk, has to be edited and in real time so that the facts are fact checked and correct. That's all in one app there. That's a very
Exactly.
personalized way of like putting your thoughts down, your report down, your editor looking at it, going, okay, well, we need to add this, remove that, and you're ready to roll, and boom, it's all there.
Whoa.
Um, we have a question here from Kate Adahar of Random Republica
Nice.
for
Hi.
Andy Ma. How does Lark develop new features? Do you look at specific industry needs?
All right. Lark basically is really business agnostic, and we are the industry agnostic, meaning to say, right from a farmer in the agriculture space to education tech or deep tech organization, Lark can be applied. So, what is the difference then for Lark? Lark focuses a lot on communication. The way to write a doc to capture data is a way of communication. To go into a video conferencing environment like this is a communication. Instant messaging is a communication. Connecting with your system, like the one that I showed you, Messenger, is a form of communication. Just as it's not between you and I, it's between system to system. So we really focus a lot around communication, ways of communication to make sure that you are productive and that you are not skipping that 1 or 2 minutes just to get that communication done. And we listen to our customers a lot. We do customers insight. We speak to our customers. We hear their complaints. We hear their praise, and we continue to innovate and improve internally.
All right, last question. Any relation to Jack Ma?
No.
Not this by the way. Not necessarily because of the family name, but because you both have everything on one platform, I guess is where I'm coming from. Alibaba has its own everything on one site, and Lark seems to put everything all on one platform. So there's more than one coincidence there.
Exactly.
Thank you very
Thank you
much,
so much,
Mr.
James.
Andy. You're welcome, and I really appreciate what we heard there from Andy Mas. So much to digest. Would you also like to just remind everyone again that if you have questions related to today's topic, just send them over via the chat box, and that way we can make sure that we try and get to as many as possible for you. Also, please don't forget to include your name and your company when you type in your question. If you'll be posting on your social media accounts about today's events, please use our hashtags. They're very, very simple. We only have two of them: Ready with Lark and Lark Suite. And that way we can keep them all collated and we can keep them all grouped together. Okay. After learning about all the tech tools that we can use to ensure seamless operations and communications with our stakeholders, why don't we focus now on another problem that I don't think gets enough attention? You see, challenges have always been for employees of how to work from home, and I get that. But if you are somebody running a business, how do you keep your employees engaged? You see, that's something that a lot of people are struggling with because that whole vibe that you create when you're in the same room, collaborating, socializing, physical interaction, that's been a big fear of a lot of people with remote work arrangements, right? So, as we learn to live with this virus and in the absence of a vaccine here in the Philippines right now, physical interactions are, well, here to stay. I'm pretty sure for the near future. So, how can you keep your employees engaged while working separately from each other? How can you foster remote collaboration so that business goals and objectives will continue to be met? Well, our next speaker is tasked to answer all of those questions. He'll be talking about the importance of employee engagement, including its potential impact on the bottom line. He'll also share tips and tricks to keep your employees engaged from afar, showing them that you really care for them as people. He will likewise provide advice on how to have efficient and effective collaboration, even without that vital face to face interaction. He is a digital marketing veteran with over 16 years of corporate experience in advertising, gaming, TV, and telco. He currently serves as the vice president for digital marketing of PLDT. He is also an accomplished digital entrepreneur, having founded Unbox.ph, one of the country's top tech websites with over 500,000 unique visitors a month. He also has his own YouTube channel on tech and sneakers, which now has an amazing 600,000 plus subscribers. A highly sought after public speaker and media resource person. He's delivered over 1,000 talks in his career, from small classrooms of 20 to 30 to massive auditoriums of 10,000 people. He's also delivered a TEDx talk. Last year, he was named Social Media Celebrity of the Year by the Philippine Social Media Week and Digital Marketer of the Year by CMO Asia. Ladies and gentlemen, let's all welcome Mr. Carlo Oplet to talk about employee engagement and collaboration the remote way. Carlo?
Okay, thank you, James, for that very generous and kind introduction. So, guys, very happy to be with you this afternoon, and I'm excited to share with you what I know when it comes to everything collaboration and online tools and stuff like that. No, so let me just put up my screen so I can share it with you guys today. Shouldn't take more than a few minutes, and there we go. Okay. So let's get started. So the title of the presentation for today is called Command Station. So why Command Station? Because sometimes when you take a work from home desk or when you take a look at your computer or your phone, you just look at it as if it were just a computer or if it were just like a place where you work. But in reality, it is one of the most powerful forms, especially if enabled with the right digital tools and the right mindset. Now, to give you guys a better context, I have to frame it better no, on who I am and what I do. Then you get to see how I use the tools that I use to be able to engage with the people that I work with. Now, if there's one like philosophy that I follow in life ever since I was young, it was this. Now, I will always look for something that I love. I will always look for something that pays well. And I will always look for something that I'm good at. And if I can find something that falls in between those three things, then it will never feel like work. It will always be exciting. The problems that come my way, it won't be taxing mentally. Your mental health will not be a critical major issue because I'm enjoying it. I'm able to handle the stress better. I'm able to handle the issues better. And I'm able to handle the adversity in my way better. So yun yung parang framework that I use every time I make a decision when it comes to my career or when it comes to my business. Now the reality is not everybody is blessed to have a job. I started working more than 15 years ago and I'm actually a call center agent. So I was working in Makati. I don't think the call center is still open, but those were really interesting times. No, I met so many people, and it was one of the more exciting times in my career. But during that time, I realized that it wasn't really for me, and I followed this chart. So parang ang nangyari doon is every time it was like my shift, I would focus on being able to become like a good employee. But every time if it was off shift, I would focus on building new skill sets and building new capabilities that I could transition into that I would enjoy more. And at that time, it was gaming. So addict ako nun sa Ragnarok Online. Ewan ko kung naabutan yun, mga 2006, 2005. So to make a long story short, I picked up skills in marketing, I picked up skills in sales, tried to learn digital marketing, and when the opportunity came, I was able to transition out of being a call center agent and being a brand manager for an online gaming company. I ended up actually running Ragnarok Online as the brand manager here in the Philippines. So it was interesting from the perspective of being an addict gamer to actually being the guy running the business. It was pretty fascinating, and that mindset as something that I've followed through the years. So be it putting up new businesses on the side, putting up new endeavors, or putting together like a transition plan on how I could get move from one job to another career that I would like to pursue. So it has been a constant strategy of mine. Like the businesses that I have now, a big part of it has because of digital tools. And I'll be talking to you and sharing with you the tips, the blueprint, kumbaga, of whatever type of success that I managed to have through the years. Now, like what was mentioned earlier, in the 15 years, I've been primarily in the digital marketing space. So, natin in the industries of gaming, advertising, broadcast, platforms, and even telco, I was there. In fact, I worked in Friendster. So sa mga medyo matatanda na dyan, na naalala pa yung panahon ng Friendster, digital marketing manager for Friendster. We would send out like the emails and stuff like that back then. So Naalala ko pare. To those who can remember testimonials, that was the big thing back then. Naalala ko pa na niligaw ako sa misis ko or sa girlfriend ko back then gamit testimonials. Such ang mundo ngayon. Walang swipe left, swipe. Meron nun mahabang love letters na tinatype mo through testimonials. But anyway, so I've really been in the digital space for the longest time. Now, I think it was in 2016 when I decided to become a primarily because I wanted to monetize my ears and my love for streetwear, my love for gadgets and technology. So I put up a YouTube channel. This one is kind of outdated. It already has over 700,000 subscribers. Edit all the videos by myself. I have not missed an upload date ever since I started vlogging 2, 3 years ago. So parang if a day ka passes na hindi ako naka-upload, the next day, dalawang video yung lalabas para mahabol yung isa. So I think I've uploaded over 1,000 videos as of today. So I shoot, edit, upload, and am in the video by myself. Now, apart from being a digital creator, I'm also a publisher. So when I say a publisher, I actually own several websites. I founded them, I think Box was the biggest one that I have. And we founded that in 2012. And the interesting thing with Unbox, I put up Unbox while I was still working for TV5. So every time 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., I would be in the office working on TV5 like requirements. And then 7 a.m., I would work on my side project, which was unbox.ph. I would write articles, I would shoot videos, I would take pictures, I would write reviews. And to date, I have written over 10,000 articles on unbox.ph, budget reviews and tech news and stuff like that. A few years, I hired a team for it. So unbox.ph is its own company. It has, I think, a team now of around 7 people running from editorial to video to sales. It's a good company. It's a good group of people. Very happy with that. Then eventually we expanded to ungeek.ph. We put up a new streetwear site called thisishype.ph. So I guess you're starting to see a pattern now. So if there's anything that I find interesting and I love, I want to make a business out of it kasi it's sustainable. Hindi siya nagiging luho. Nagiging source talaga of fulfillment and joy. And you can prolong it for as long as you want. And again, if there are problems, you don't mind kasi you're enjoying it. You're having fun. Diba? While it is still work, it is fun. So that has been a mantra that I've been doing, that I've been following in the last year. I put up a digital marketing firm that's focused on managing tech talents. So it's called the Unbox Creator Network. So we manage some of the top talents in the Philippines. This includes, of course, some number one tech YouTuber in the Philippines, Unbox.ph. We work with Alodia, we work with Chinkita, others. So this one I put up last year, and now it's fast, one of the fastest that I have. Again, I put up a team for this. I manage the team remotely, and it's been doing really well. So as you guys can imagine, I mentioned like we have several teams that I manage on the publishing side. I also have several that I manage together with the talents as a second pillar to the businesses that I run. And the an e-commerce company, which is basically my YouTube merch brand. This is also where I do most of my Lazada stuff and where we do merchandise for the YouTube that we manage. So this one is called Project 721. It's called Project 721 precisely because of what I mentioned earlier. A.m. to 5 p.m. you build your career, 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. you build your dreams. So this particular company also has a separate team of it's a small team of around 5 primarily focuses on the marketing, coordination, and the business development of affiliates, sales, and marketing. So yun yung mga side hustles and yung mga racket. Kasi on top of that, I'm also a telco guy. So I'm currently with one of the biggest telcos here in the Philippines, and I manage a pretty big there as well. So you could probably be thinking, how do I do all of those things? How am I able to still have a day job and still manage multiple businesses on the side and still be a YouTube creator? It's his own video on a daily basis. Ultimately, it boils down to building strong digital teams. Because if there's one thing I've learned being in corporate, is that the success of a business really boils down to the team. So I applied that thinking to the businesses that I created. I'm very picky with the people that I hire. I set a certain type of culture that I strictly follow, and I make everybody else follows, so that we're able to really become and productive. And mind you, we have been working virtually since 2010. So while everybody has been struggling with the concept of work from home, kami, lalo na yung team ko sa Unbox.ph, we've been working from home since 2010. So we've been doing this for 10 years. So we have a process, we have a system that has worked for us in the last 10 years. And it's something that I've applied to the different businesses that I've launched ever since. And I'll be sharing with you that framework in a while. This is not a computer. Look at the desk you're in right. That's not a computer. That's not a computer screen. It's not just a computer screen. That's really a command station. That's what I see every time I sit down in front of my computer. Every time I sit down here in this workspace, I really feel as if I'm in a battleship. I see all the different fronts of my businesses, and I see what everybody is doing across the different businesses that I'm at, and I'm able to monitor, direct, give guidance, and give to all the different business units that I run. See this as a screen to play Dota. I don't see this as a screen to just watch Netflix. I don't see this as a screen to just do PowerPoint presentations for my job or to do Excel sheets to manage or whatnot. I really see this space as my day-to-day command station, where I run all the different things that I run from the comforts of my home. And then it has been like that for the last 10 years. And I've also invested in making this space fun. That's why may mga infinity gauntlets sa likod. That's why may mga sapatos sa likod ko. I try to make this particular space exciting, creative, very personal, very me, very inspiring. I walk into this room. This is my command station. This is my battle station. This is where we command the troops, ika nga nila. And when you think that's not even a smartphone. This is not a smartphone. To people, probably a telepono. But for the people who are a little bit more mature, kami ni James, nabutan namin ng panahon ng pager at nabutan namin yung panahon ng telepono na daikot para magdaya. This is really a supercomputer. The phone is a supercomputer. So when I take a look at my phone, I look at it from the perspective of, again, it's something where I play games, or it's something where I just do Facebook, or where I just take pictures. To me, this is an extension of my command station. So wherever, whenever, wherever, whatever I am doing, I can to the cloud, connect to the different collaboration tools that are like Lark, obviously, and take a look at what, and then give guidance, connect with my teams, and build stronger connections with our clients. It's a supercomputer in your hand. That's what it is. It's not a smartphone. I'm taking my time explaining this to you guys kasi it's a different mindset. I can give you all the tips in the world, but if you do not have the right mindset, you will not be able to take full advantage of what's there in front of you. And that's what we'll be tackling for the rest of the next few minutes. Guys, an idea. Let me just pull up my phone. So this is one of my phones over here. So if I take a look at the Lazada Sales Center, so this is in the last 10 minutes. So in the last 10 minutes here, sitting with you guys, giving this talk, I've sold 12 t-shirts, 3 face. So yun yung pagdating sa Lazada. Now, if you take a look at the other website that I'm running, that one has delivered X amount. Ano ba to? It has delivered me 30 sales piece ng SKU of a particular product that we're pushing. And if I took a look at my other Viber group, nandun, nakikita ko, mga nako-close naming deals when it comes to advertising. So in short, technology allows you to literally para space. Diba? Kasi for you, diba, you can only do one thing kasi you're limited by time and space. You can only do physically present within a specific time frame. But now, because of digital, you can do many things at the same time. Best thing to the Jarvis of Iron Man. So I need you guys to stop thinking that your computer is just your computer or that your phone is just your phone. These are your stations. These are your Jarvises. These are the things that you use to expand and build an empire of your own, be it for your businesses or for the company that you're currently employed in. Now, three strategies that how I'm able to do what I do. So I'll go on very quickly. So if you guys want to take notes, this would be the best time to do so. So the first strategy is top-down leadership. What do I mean by top-down leadership? Not expect your people to acclimate and to you yourself don't use. If you will not use online collaboration tools, if you will not use Lark, if you will not use whatever type of project management software or technology that you, if you yourself as the leader will not use, chances of people actually using it is very slow, it's very slim, it's very low. Because if you want to drive change, you have to drive change. You cannot be on the seat. You have to be the one and read of what it is that you can do with the new technologies that are available today. So to the leaders listening on this call, you have to do it yourself. You have to drive it. You have to be the one to inspire and to galvanize and to be the ambassador for technology, online collaboration, work from home in your particular office. In fact, allow me to share and let me quote from my job right now in the telco business. Si MVP, Manny Pangilinan, is really enjoying the virtual calls. No, I see him a lot in Zoom. I see him a lot in Lark. Obviously, I see him a lot in all the different tools that are there. And lahat na lang ng pwedeng online collaboration tools na napag-experimenta na namin. Nakakaaliw kasi he's really, really into it and he's really, really trying everything and learning what are the best types that are possible to use. I can rattle off all the different collaboration tools, but I won't do that anymore. But we've really experimented the different ones, no? From the older ones pa. We even took ano nga ba yun? There's one pa nga eh. There's one with Facebook, the workplace thing. And we also tried the stuff from Google. Basta we really experimented. And it's just interesting to see uh, real interest in the tools and learning it. So that's what I mean by top-down leadership. Now, if you're not a leader yet in your organization, but you are going to put up a business, sabihin natin, then it's your opportunity to drive change. Sometimes it's not yet your time. Eh. Diba? Sometimes you're not yet meant to be the one to make the call. But when the time comes, you have to be ready. You have to be prepared. And then those are the opportunities na while you're listening today and learning everything that Lark, then you're able to apply those things when you do your businesses. Diba? So make sure that when the time comes na ikaw na, ready ka na. Diba? Kasi again, hindi pa, may oras tayong lahat eh. Hindi yung in the bad way. Ah. I mean, may oras tayong lahat kung kailan tayo yung in charge the proper calls. So again, top-down leadership. Now, the second thing I want to stress is a doer type of team culture. What is a doer type of team culture? One of my rules that I've learned was taking a companies in Silicon Valley. The immersion kasi, every year before when it was still okay to travel, I would go to Silicon Valley and take a look at the different startups and the different companies and see what are they doing. One thing that I always see, may parang dalawang types of mantras eh. One is hire fast, fire faster. Diba? And second, culture eats strategy for breakfast. Yun yung parang mga mantras that they keep saying eh. So I've taken that to heart. So I'm very picky with the people that I hire across the different teams that I build because I know that if I get someone who is not acclimated, who is not willing to learn, or is not willing to change with the culture that I'm trying to build, most likely I will have to pick up his or her slack, and the people that I've hired on top of that person will have to pick up after that particular person. Diba? So there is a big like need to really be specific and be very deliberate that you hire. And once you have them, and it's not working out, you've given them all the chances that are possible, then you have to make the hard decision to take a look at other options. Diba? Kasi you need to build teams that can thrive, especially in the period. So what are the things that I look for in employees when we hire? We look for people who are self-starters. We look for people who have initiative. We look for people who do not need a lot of supervision. We look for people who focus on output and can always execute and deliver. So, but people who have self-discipline and self-awareness. And it's kind of hard to find those people today, no? But if you can find them and then train them and then take care of them, then it really works. So, for example, just to share with you guys, the team that I were at Unbox, I've been working with them na for gano'n na ba katagal? Shucks, 8 years? 8 years na. Two of the employees that I have there or the teammates that I have there have been there for more than 8 years na or 7 years. So once you find somebody that you take care of that. Kasi they will be the ones to spread the type of culture that you want everybody else. So again, the third thing, a doer team culture. And third important thing creating digital processes, digital collaboration workflows that work. And at this point, I'll share with you what we do as a team to be able to do the stuff that we set out to accomplish. So the first thing is knowledge sharing. Knowledge sharing is critical because it's like of passage for new employees. When they go through it, they learn what are the skill sets that are needed. And at the same time, you're able to constantly update the skill sets of everybody in the team. So what we usually do in the different companies that I manage is we have sessions like this, exactly what we're doing right now, and then we do regular updating of different digital skill sets. So for example, I just did a workshop for the Box Creator Network on doing affiliate sales. For those who don't know, affiliate sales is basically you earn a commission every time you post a link to a product. You get like a certain percentage. So I gathered everybody, all the that we manage in Unbox Creator workshop. We taught them the different ways to be able to monetize the best. We also had a session recently on SEO. Kasi nga, right now, in box.ph, we taught like the best practices when it comes to search engine optimization. We did a session also on digital marketing. We did a session on selling naman for our sales executives. So we do a lot of knowledge sharing sessions. So every time we do like an online learning session, obviously and then you can upload it and people can go back to it if they want to learn some more. So knowledge sharing is a very big part of what we actually na, it, na it's ever changing, na it moves so fast. So we need to be constantly updated with new capabilities. No? So like for this one, like what we're doing now, if you do not spend time on collaborating tools and master online collaborations, then you not get to extract the maximum value from these tools that you are using. So make it a point. Now, once you've decided to go, sabihin natin with Lark, you really take a look at all the different features. You take a look at how that you can maximize, be it for or knowledge sharing and stuff like that. Now, the second thing is driving productivity while you never see each other face to face. So, like what I mentioned earlier, we've been doing home for the last 10 years. And we have a very simple rule lang. Weekly meeting, and then we KPIs. That's it. So we monitor output. So the number one thing that's important for me is we cannot see you and we cannot see each other. The compromise on is output. That is actually the benefit of the current work from home situation. Focus has been from presence, physical presence, to signify that you are working. It has to the actual output of the person. You can actually see if a person depend based on the output, the tangible output of his or her work. So for us, we just put analytics, binangga namin yung analytics across the output. So we have a dashboard that we take a look at on a weekly basis. So that can be in the form of, sabihin natin, if it's the website, it's the web traffic rate, it's the engagement rate, it's how well the site is doing. And of course, all of the metrics are KPIs of specific people in the organization. Take a look at it on a weekly basis. Parang, okay, so the website traffic is down. That probably means that the articles or the SEO wasn't up to par. Diba? Or sabihin namin the growth of our social media page have slowed down by X% week versus week. Then that obviously means that the content for social media created wasn't as witty, wasn't as shareable, wasn't as clickable. Or sabihin natin the closed deals of the Unbox Creator Network wasn't as high. Or sabihin natin collection. So again, you can actually assign a specific measurable KPI per person and track that on a business dashboard week to week. And then that will be your North Star. That will be your guiding light is that you're doing. So that's actually how I'm able to manage multiple stuff at once. Because I don't go into the nitty-gritty. Kumbaga, I can trust my people na they can take care of that. Na they can actually execute. If they don't, it will appear on the weekly meeting. And then we can call people, we can call out specific issues. I can step in when I'm needed. We can identify problems and solve them. So yun yung particular thing that we always do. So the weekly sessions to drive productivity. Kasi you measure yourself on a weekly basis, sabihin natin your monthly goals. Then monthly goals, you measure against your annual goals. Diba? So again, that's what we do on a weekly period. So you drive your productivity by having or bi-weekly, depending on how often you want to do it. Some people before, from what I know, in of the teams that I've seen, not necessarily my team, they do daily checkpoints. So they have a quick call. They have a quick call at the morning. Everybody knows what everybody's doing. So what's expected of this person, this person, this person, this person. And then the next morning, they just check up on, okay, nagawa ba, nagawa ba, nagawa ba, nagawa ba. But baka masyadong high pressure yung ganon. So my version is the weekly version. But I know some team companies who do daily versions of that. Medyo intensely micro na yata yun. Depends on your culture, depends on the team that you're trying to build. And lastly, activities. So you can create so many things for you to not just work, but I will allow you to enjoy what you do. So for example, we did like a Halloween thing. We did like everybody would come up with. We even had like somebody judge. So we asked Alod, she's the cosplay goddess of the Philippines, diba, to judge all the different outfits of the people. We celebrate wins, send out food to everybody, and then we spend time together eating and celebrating. Um, Sessions, one-on-one. We're planning right now our virtual Christmas thing. I'm sure you guys are too. And then there's just the realization that you can accomplish so much with digital is there. And I guess ultimately my main point is this. When people take a look at the current situation, when people take a look at where we are now, especially in the context of the pandemic, they look as digital as a means to just survive. For me, that's the biggest mistake that you can do. Because if that's your mindset, that digital is for you to just get by and for you to just survive, then that's it. That's exactly what will happen. You will just survive. Parang you cannot go beyond that, 'di ba? Sakto lang. Kung hindi sakto lang, kulang. 'Yun ang mangyayari. But the reality is, if done right, if managed well, digital is supposed to let you guys thrive. Digital is the greatest that I've seen in my career. It's the greatest opportunity opener. Pandora's box na nung binuksan ng mundo at naon ng internet for the first time in the world, people who just have now have a chance to really change the quality of their lives for the better. Be it learning new skills, doing different things. I'll share with you guys one last story, and hopefully this will emphasize the point that I'm doing now. So I'm very proud of my little sister. So I have my youngest sister. She I guess she kind of followed my footsteps kasi nag-call center din siya. And then she asked me, Kuya, how do I get out of this, and how do I earn more, and how do I provide more for my kid because she has a son. And I told her it starts with learning new skills that are high value. Kasi you can only be paid depending on what you can give, right? So if your skills are non-digital, then your pay is analog. Parang ganon, yun yung sinasabi ko sa kanya. So, I mentored her a little bit. She learned on her own to her. Binigyan ko lang siyang konting advice. Ang galing. She learned how to do social media marketing. She took up classes online. She took up the blueprint class of Facebook. She took up Google Analytics and really just consumed so much information. And she had finally had an opportunity when a digital agency was looking for a new person to hire. Long story short, she left her call center job and is now flourishing as a digital marketer. She gets paid more, she gets to provide more, and now she's looking into putting up her own businesses on the side as well. So again, that wouldn't be possible with digital online collaboration tools like this. And it's just amazing. Guys, to everybody listening today, let me just emphasize that when it comes to digital, the call for everybody is to thrive, not to survive. Because that's the biggest thing that digital can give you. And that said, thank you very much for your time. I went over time. Pasensya na. I couldn't see the chat. Ngayon ko lang napansin na may number 7. Sorry. If you guys have questions, at Carlo Ople at Twitter in case to answer a lot today. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlo Ople. Thank you so much, Carlo. You're my favorite guest in some ways, but I also dread you in other ways. It's a love-hate relationship because I love listening to you. I hate speaking after you. Yeah, you covered so much, Carlo, and there's so much overlap with our stories and stuff. That's why I relate. And if I relate, I know a lot of people are relating to what you say. The advice you give is always so golden, and we really appreciate what you've shared with us today. Let's take some questions. I won't be long with this because I know we're running out of time as well. So I will just have hear from, okay, Glee from CNN Philippines asked a very cool question. You kind of touched on this, but I'd like you to wrap it up for her. What are ways we can do team building activities virtually? How can we integrate play and work and play? I know you touched on it. Could you just solidify it for us?
Yeah, well, it starts with really brainstorming and coming up with different ideas on what you can do. Because if you're not deliberate in coming up with like programs, then it will never happen. So that's the first step. Gather your team and think of different ideas on how you can best do it for your organization because it's very different per organization. So for us, I manage a team of multiple YouTubers and creators. So for us, the costume contest was such a so us. So parang everybody really got into it. As in they invested in their costumes. They really took a look at what they wanted to do. And talagang patok na patok siya. And apart from that, we also did, like, apart from the learning sessions, we celebrate our wins. So every time there's a major deal that happens, we make it a point to gather and just spend some time together, kamustahan lang. And of course, apart from the learning sessions, yung mga, alam mo yun, the small holidays that happen that you can take advantage of together as a team, you can all do virtually. So there's no excuse to not still feel connected to the people. Because at the end of the day, sabi nga nila, diba, it's not social distancing, it's physical distancing. Which means that we are still free to connect with everybody, albeit in a very different manner. So yun.
It's not social distancing, it's physical distancing. With all the cliches and this whole New normal. I haven't heard that one before. So thank you for that. Eunice Sunga from ANC has this question. And again, I know you touched on it, but maybe she didn't get to that part. It's a very good question. Are there new metrics or tools that can be used to measure employee engagement aside from the traditional ones like surveys and feedback forms?
Well, you have to attach it kasi to the KPIs of the particular person. I'm not a fan of measuring, kinyari, some companies kasi they measure on, ano yun,
Once,
on screen time. As in, they actually have like a widget
yeah,
that monitors how long the person is working in front of his or her screen. But ako kasi I'd rather measure output. So again, every person that comes into my teams in the businesses that I run, we really assign like specific KPIs that ladder up to the overall goal of the business. Be it sabihin natin website traffic or sabihin natin lower bounce rates or better sell-through or sabihin natin collections ng mga matagal magbayad na kliyente. Ganon. So everybody has a specific role. And I don't really care anymore what you do with your time. Parang if you wanna take care of your baby because you're at home, it's a very different situation. Then you're free to do that, diba? As long as we're all able to do what it is that we need to do. If you want to do like a side business while you're doing whatever it is that you're doing with the companies that I have, it's okay. Basta the output is there. So ako, measure output and KPIs more than on-screen time, attendance. Those are very analog measurements, in my opinion.
very good. Very good. Carlo, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much, my friend, for all the valuable insights. I really appreciate it. I'm sure everybody does. And more power to you and everything that you do. And tama na, okay? Because we're all developing a complex around you, the underachievers complex. So please just stop already. Just catch up, and then we'll get back to you. Thanks for your time, Carlo.
Thanks, James. Thank you.
All right, that was Carlo Ople, one of the most accomplished online personalities in the country today, and a real inspiration. You know, I personally have had Carlo on the show several times, and always just one of those great value guests. And today we learned so much from him. So thank you as well. I'm sure most of you were able to relate to a lot of the findings from the report. And of course, it's reassuring to know that these major changes in ways of working are common across businesses and not just unique to us. Because sometimes when we're going through these struggles, we worry about these things. But no, everyone's going through the same thing. Now, if you have any questions related to today's topics, again, please send them via our comment box in this live stream, as Glee and other people have been sending through. Just type in your name, the company you represent, and your question. And just like the ones that we've read out, we'll also read yours out as well. Please also include the official hashtags Ready with Lark and Lark Sweet to help spread the word for this very meaningful campaign. All right. I'm very happy to be here with Lark today, and as one of not just your hosts, but one of your speakers. Yep, I know, I'm the next speaker. I hope it doesn't get awkward because I rarely introduce myself as a speaker, but it's 2020. Things are crazy. What's normal nowadays? So here you go. I am an automotive journalist, events host, and news anchor at CNN Philippines, and I will now share how I manage the partnerships engagements and give you some practical tips that we can all learn from. Basically, what I wanted to share with you was my personal story. I'm no digital marketer like Carlo Ople. I don't have the same technical or basically, yeah, the same experience as Mr. Ma in terms of giving you those advice. But what I can share with you today is my journey, my story, and how Lark and technology has literally changed my life. And of course, being the sole breadwinner of my family and being an employer has changed the lives of many others. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. If we can bring up the first slide, it is, we all know what happened in 2020, but this was my life before the pandemic. I was mostly, aside from the television hosting, etc., a huge chunk of what I did was live events and live hosting. So when you're doing about anywhere from 40 to up to 60%, depending on the season, of your income comes from this, and you're dependent on this, and not just you, but your employees, your family, even the little poodle that you might see running around the back there, everyone is dependent on this. When that rug is pulled from you suddenly, like it was in the next slide or the next couple of slides, you'll see it when the announcement came for ECQ. It was pretty sudden. I mean, let's go to the next slide. I mean, I'm sure all of these we'll just fast forward to the next one where we can see what happened in March when the president came out, had to announce the lockdown. The whole world, nobody was prepared with this. Now, in one ways, you can look at it as yes, the rug was totally pulled from underneath me. 40 to 60% of my income vanished like that. The other side of it was you now enter a very level playing field. Now, this creates opportunity for people. And what technology has done for me and for everybody else that has learned to use it properly is it's democratized the opportunities. No longer do you have the same gatekeepers. I mean, I work for a big network as well, but all of a sudden I had to become my own network. And I did that in a quick pivot. It was a pivot in about a week or so. This was the first setup that I had. I just literally didn't know how to do it, and none of us did. And the amazing part was when I found myself in this situation, and I literally was not in a position at the time to just go dark. I mean, I was in a very strange financial position where it was a certain set of circumstances that ended up in, well, I was in debt, put it that way. I'll just be blunt with you. I was in debt when the pandemic started, and that's probably the last time in the world that you want to be in debt. So I didn't have the luxury of saying, hey, there's no more use for the transport guy for the next couple of months. I'll just go dark and I'll just, catch up on Netflix and enjoy my time in the pandemic, or at least just, catch up on the things I couldn't do before. But I lost that luxury because of the financial situation that I was in at the time. So I had to dig deep and I had to pivot and I had to find out a way on how to do this. So I remember coming up with the concept of working with the team to come up with the concept of a podcast. And unlike any other podcast, what I really wanted to do, this was something that was, and this is something I think also Francis Kong touched on in episode 2, when he talked about crisis will just force the speed of which you need to do things in. This podcast that you kind of see on screen, or these screen grabs, this was an idea in my head for a number of years already. It was in my heart, it was in my head, but I never got to it. And the reason I never got to it was, I guess, the world didn't have the void that needed to be filled, because it wasn't going to be a traditional podcast that was extremely advertiser friendly. It was more to fulfill some kind of something a little deeper. I wanted to create a platform to have conversations that really matter. I wanted it to have an impact. I didn't want it to be designed around the advertising model. I wanted to create something that I really was proud of with my heart, something that came from the heart and that was unencumbered. And for me to do that pre-pandemic was almost impossible because there was just too much noise. And people didn't really need that. Their attention spans were so fast. So you had to give it to them in the same bite-sized seasoned packages that they're used to. I call it like, the news with a little MSG, or whatever content you put out had to be seasoned in a way so that it would stand out or break through the noise. When the pandemic hit, we had an audience. We had an audience immediately. People who were not just desperate for new content, but in my case, the need I was trying to fulfill is they were desperate for a calming, sober voice that would guide them through this pandemic. This was new to a lot of people. They were scared. And if somebody that they had been used to listening to comes out and provides a calming, sober voice and gives them that guidance throughout it, shares the opportunities, doesn't focus on the bad news, but focuses only on the opportunities, the positivity, the good news, and stuff to help empower people to pivot, empower people to find out what else they can be good at, to change, to be able to get the confidence to do that. This all happened in one, just like a week or so. But what was lacking was, of course, the technical knowledge. And this is where programs like Lark, or platforms like Lark, really, really help, because they make it so easy. And that's what I mean by democratizing the space. Is now I didn't need to be a network. I didn't need a full-time professional producer. How are you going to find one in a pandemic? I turned to my manager, who was my professional talent manager, and I said to her, you're going to have to learn how to be a producer. And I said, you need to produce, I need someone to produce the show. She says, I know nothing about producing. And I said, well, you're going to have to get to it pretty fast then and learn pretty quick because this is just going to happen. But with the technology, she was able to learn that. She was able to help produce the show and create this product that is now become not just successful, but it financially hasn't only become successful, but really left an imprint with people. So it was able to scratch a far deeper goal than just the business. And I don't want to discount the business side of it because the business side of it, like I said, has really succeeded. But more so, it was that itch that I needed to scratch of creating this product that I really wanted to do from the bottom of my heart, unencumbered. That was my voice, that didn't have to lend itself to whatever advertising that you had at the time. You create the product you want, and then now the advertisers come in because you had that momentum that you created on your own, develop the audience, and now they want to buy into that audience, not the other way. They don't want to develop the show around their product. Does this make sense? Does it make sense to anyone? Because it's a very tough way to do things, and it's something that only a pandemic brought out. But like I said, it always goes back to technology because you could have all this convergence, pandemic, the void that I was talking about, scratching the itch, pivoting, and all that. But if you don't have the technology that's easy to use, and that can empower you to do this, that, as Carla mentioned, your command center becomes this virtual sort of ship that you can talk to now hundreds of thousands of people from your own home, and it hasn't lost any of the value that you would have done prior to the pandemic on a network. I mean, obviously the CNNs, they do fantastic. I mean, they have their full prod teams, etc. Nothing will really compare to that. But going to a online version using Lark, collaborating with the team using Lark, and then eventually broadcasting and stuff, screen sharing. It was dynamic. You didn't look like you had this massive drop into this backyard business. You could hold your own. I mean, like, look at the presentation you're seeing today. This is all on Lark. And this is something that now information is absorbed easier. But the advantage is here that we really picked up. Aside from the show was one thing. It was more as a team being able to collaborate. I know a lot of people will relate to what I'm about to say, but if you run any kind of team or are in part of any kind of team, the biggest challenge for me is sometimes I remember, okay, so and so sent a message about whatever the podcast next week, and the guest, wait, did they send out what platform was that? Because there's so many different messaging platforms, and because you need one for this and one for that, and so the search alone would take me more time than it should. But with Lark, it's all in one. This is what Mr. Ma was explaining as well, that they put this all these features into one, and then you can collaborate. You can collaborate with each other in a group. You can collaborate privately through the secret messages. You can do the magic screen shares. Plus, you have that privacy. Plus, you have that security. We all know that when the pandemic came out, a lot of messaging apps came out, and video conferencing, and also so did a lot of reports of possible data, leakage and privacy concerns and stuff. So this forced us to look for new options. Lark brings it all together in that one place, and to be able to just use it as a tool. And this is why I loved Carlos' speech as well, because he talks about these as tools, not just as, don't think of it as your phone, don't think of it as your computer screen. Think of this as your gateway, your command center, and your tool to get things done. But the hardware is worth nothing without the software, and vice versa. So you can have the best 20, 50-inch Mac or whatever the latest one is. It's going to work nothing without good software. And this is what Lark provides. It allows you to collaborate in ways that you never really thought possible. And most importantly, it will allow you to collaborate in ways that make you question why you did it the old way before. I mean, it will make things so redundant now. It makes some things feel so archaic. Like even now, if we do decide if the vaccine hits tomorrow, like it just dropped in the UK today, Pfizer's just released that there, and it's there. We don't know what it's going to do, but let's just say in the Philippines it drops today, and we are all vaccinated. I don't particularly want to go back to the old normal because I find so much of this new normal to be even better. And that's thanks a lot to products like Lark that make it better. We don't need to physically be next to each other. As a matter of fact, it actually takes away sometimes from the presentation. If we're just trying to get together as a team and understand a certain project that we're working on with the share screen, with all this, plus it's recorded, wow, that's just a new way of doing business. And it took a pandemic, unfortunately, to force this, but it was inevitable because we'll always find the path of least resistance. We'll always find the better way forward. That's just how we're wired as human beings. And now we have that better way forward. We have this tool that we can all use, and we can also feel secure in it. So that's how Lark has helped me. I'm already on overtime as well. Thanks, Carlo, but that's okay. I love it. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to open up the last part, the last few minutes that we have together for your questions. If you have any questions here, I'd love to take them. And we have a question here from it's from the Inquirer. Let me just scroll back down, see if I missed a few more. Okay, so that's from Carlo. Here we go. From Winky Olarte from Inquirer. How do you define new work normal leadership? Just like Carlo mentioned, I think it's about creating these digital teams together and being able to have this. You have to lead by example. That was another piece of solid advice that he gave that I would like to reinforce. When you lead by example, like you use the technology, you can't just tell your team, okay, you guys work out this Lark thing and yeah, just let me know how it works. No, you as the leader should take the lead in this, learn it, show people how easy it is, utilize it, and then later they're like, okay, well, this is the better way forward now. So that's one of the ways I can answer your question is defining the new work normal leadership is you really got to go back to leading by example because this is new for everybody. So as the boss, as the leader, try to take the reins for that. And then later on, it's going to make it so much easier especially when you bring in new members of your team, you know already the technology that you need to use. You know already the different standards that you've created. But lead by example. That's a good one. Mr. James Deacon, this is from Glee. Huh? Glee, thanks for all your questions. What developments in technology are you looking out for in the future, and how are you preparing for it? That's a super good question. What developments in technology are you looking out for in the future, and how you are preparing for it? At the moment, I think it would be nice if we were. It's already happening overseas, so I can't see. I see it. I want to see it come over here. A more accepted, secure, embraced form of e-payments. We're already using the Gcash and all these other types of e-payments. I would like to see this more integrated and more utilized as the norm because there's still many places where you can't use this. Like for example, a lot of the staff they can't be paid by Gcash or online payments. And the reason for that is because they still don't have a cash out process in the provinces where they usually send the money back to. So this is you're only as strong as your weakest link. I mean, it would be great to integrate all that. So that's where I'd like to see it go immediately is e-payments all be integrated and cashless as soon as possible because it is just a better way forward, even without a pandemic. Okay, here we go. This one is from Metropoler Enzo Luna. Hi, James. Is there a moment that you doubted, questioned yourself if you can push through this new setup of going on your own? Oh my gosh. So many times. I think it was every day and twice on Sundays. Any tips you can share for us to keep going? All right, Enzo. Yes, I did. I'm human too. And so, of course, I was doubting. I didn't Lark didn't come until a little bit later, so I went through a lot of learning curves, technical wise, right? And it became kind of part of the personality of the show. We would call them Tito Techie problems because yeah, there was so much to learn. You just didn't have to learn how to connect with your audience and literally talk to them for 1 hour a day, but you had to work out all the tech behind it, the music, the microphones, and this, and there was always some new problem coming up. And yes, every day I would question whether or not this was what am I doing? I mean, this is this crazy, but I could see the small effects. You're looking for little wins here and there, and the wins, like I said, I wasn't looking at the monetary wins so much. I was looking at the effect you have on others because that's the most valuable currency you have. And now it was just a different medium that I was using to have that effect on others. Instead of being that live host on the stage, I would talk directly to you like I'm talking to you now. if you're still out there listening, the effect is still the same, whether it's digital or face to face. So I would see when I would get messages back from people that would say, I just listened to the podcast and it just encouraged me to start my home bake business or something like that. And now we're on our roll. And then we would dedicate 1 week, 1 day a week, and we still do, called Free Plug Friday, where we would give back to the people that we helped start right during the whole pandemic. Here we were telling them that Carlos, one of the guests, to tell us how you could become a virtual assistant, how you could become a YouTuber. We had people who taught you how to cook. We had people who taught you how to make handicrafts. We had magicians on the show. We had comedians on the show to teach people how to do this. So later on, when people started doing this, we pivoted again and we started giving them Free Plug Friday. We actually give them free advertising for their product, their service, or whatever they were trying to do to kickstart their new normal. And so those little victories really add up. And that's what made it worthwhile. And that's why I never gave up. So that's the tip I could give you, is find something that gives you meaning, purpose, that's higher than yourself. Because if it's just money, that will dry up. That little diagram that Carlos showed with the sweet spot and all that, it's a very nice way of putting it. I haven't actually visualized it like that till today, but you find your sweet spot. You need to have something more than money. Money, I know it's cliche and I don't want to sound corny here. Money is, of course, we all know, very important, but it cannot be the purpose. Money is just as a result of. It has to be a result of. You do something you love, you do something that has higher meaning, and money will come as a result of that. And look, if you love what you do and you do what you love and you deliver a little bit more than you promise, you can never go wrong with that formula. So with technology, it's just made it a little easier because it's democratized it. I don't need to be a producer anymore. My manager could be a producer like that. And she has done because technology allowed that. But pre-pandemic and in a different time, I don't think so. I have to go through several weeks or years of school to learn how to produce a show. In our case, we just had to learn it as we went, and it ended up being this. So I'm very, very grateful to technology for this because it's just changed the playing field forever. If there are no more questions, we can do the final reminders. I'm just going to give one last chance here. Okay, we will have to leave it at that for now. Here's your final reminders, ladies and gentlemen. Just remember that, well, we've already had the questions, and this will conclude our webinar series. We'll soon announce the 2 selected business mentees who will go and receive the following. Now, I did tell you about this, right? We are still giving away 300,000 pesos worth of PR support to promote your company. Wow, it's like an advanced version of Free Plug Friday X. How cool is that? This one comes with 300 grand plus a coaching session with Lark's resource speaker, plus a training session with the Lark team, plus an additional 100 gigabytes storage valid for 1 year on your Lark account. So before we formally end this event again, please, to those of you who have attended but did not register yet, please do so now. This is for your sake. Just go to the microsite and sign up because you still have a chance to be one of the chosen mentees for this program. I'll give you a few minutes to do that. Click on that. And I'd like to thank everyone who shared their time with us for the past 3 tracks, our participants, our partner organizations and associations, our resource speakers, of course, our Lark representatives, and of course, you, our media partners, who have been very, very active with this. We really thank you for your support. We hope that through this campaign, you're all able to gain some new knowledge and insights to help you and your company prepare for 2021. So thank you and best luck to all of you. My name is James Deacon. It's been my absolute pleasure being your host and your speaker for today. Guys, keep safe. Enjoy the rest of your day. And please do visit the Lark social media accounts on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn for more exciting news and announcements. With that, I wish you well. Goodbye. Stay safe and stay productive.